In my current work, I explore personal insecurities by unravelling fantasies, dreams, obsessions, and life events through nonsensical visual narratives. I recognise that I often communicate best through my desires and eccentricisms. Uncomfortable in my own skin, I often take a roundabout route to explain the whys and the wherefores of my motivations, even if they don't need explanation. The paintings featured in this review are all self-portraits. I present myself behind many masks, as a martyr, as Alice in Wonderland, as a woman who seems to rise above all ills, or as a woman who is caught up in all that overwhelms. These works expose my personal insecurities, fears and memories. The work examines facets of my personality I would rather conceal than reveal. My ultimate goal is to subvert my British temperament of the stiff upper lip. Instead, here I delve into the murky, inky depths of my psyche. The first painting in this series is more abstract and gestural, which marks an important transition to a more representational portraiture. As such, this self-portrait launched my investigation into the absurd and the stingingly personal. Each work goes down a unique rabbit hole. So this is the painting that really started me off on this voyage of discovery into self-portraiture and examining innermost feelings. This is 30 inches by 30 inches, it's oil on wood panel. The paint is very heavily applied. I've mixed it with a lot of impasto, and I've applied the paint using a palette knife, which is something I really enjoyed because it gave you a certain amount of gestural ability. It was a very physical action, which I really maximised while I was doing paintings like this. I make all my wood panels, so it was really sort of a joy of making, a joy of execution. So this painting actually led to this painting here, which is entitled And We Rise. It's a painting I've been waiting to do for about 6 years or so. It comes from a photograph taken by a great friend of mine in Denver, Colorado, and it really highlights the fact that as women we can rise above any situation, we can cope with any situation. It's a very joyful painting. I employed a lot of impasto again in the background because I couldn't seem to get away from that texture. I wasn't quite ready to delve into sort of complete flatness or pseudo flatness at this stage. So this is more of a break into more representational work, which I found quite enjoyable. And from this painting led to this painting. This painting utilised a image transfer in the head and the hands. I did this because Jenny Morgan is someone who I really admire. I love her work. She uses a lot of image transfer. I wanted to see exactly what it did for her, see if I could sort of replicate that and understand her, the way she used her materials. I must admit it's not a method I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm glad I had the opportunity to try it. It's probably not something I would repeat again, but it's something that I'm very, very grateful for having played around with. I've used a great deal of impasto here, moving back to using modelling paste, which was my one-time favourite a few years ago. And I thought it was quite appropriate for this painting, having the splashing here. This painting is also, as all of them are 30 by 30, this is oil on wood panel. And it's a more sort of a realistic look, also with elements that I really enjoyed when I was really playing around for the first time with flatness, jutting colour up against itself so that you have these little beads up in the corner here. And this one is called Going Under, ? And it's, a lot of people think it's a girl swimming. It could be a girl swimming, or it could be, you know, that sort of emotion when you find that you're drowning and you can't seem to find breath. That's really what's going on in this painting. So this one was really the next in the series. This is another 30 by 30 oil on wood panel. I've also utilised the image transfer as I did in the previous picture. I really wasn't very happy with it, so I painted over the image here and gave it more of a clown-like appearance, which goes along with the Alice in Wonderland theme. Also you have a tornado going around, which is part of the theme of The Wizard of Oz. The feeling of this is that those times when you feel caught up with something that you really can't get out of, and you're being whirlwinded away rather than being able to call the shots and have control over what's happening in your life. So with this one I utilised abstraction with the more representational images, the dramatic skyscape if you like, plus a lot of the swirling around the bottom here. I had a great deal of fun with this painting. From there, more recently, this painting is another painting that I've been wanting to approach for many, many years. It is a self-portrait again, as all of them are, 30 by 30 oil on wood panel again. And this shows me in front of the Union flag. It's entitled Holding On Forever, Forever England. And it basically shows the figure clawing at the flag. It's sort of given the sentiment that you're holding on to something that really serves no purpose anymore. It was part of your life before, which is represented by the really dirty flag. And it's something you should have moved on with, but because of who you are and what you have deep inside, it's very, very hard to sort of move forward. So the visual elements that I've used in this, I've used a lot of sponging, which is quite interesting with oil. I've not used a sponge with oil before, so that was quite rewarding. I think the rest is quite self-explanatory. It's another play with representational painting. It was really quite challenging as a painting to do, and a lot of visual elements which really didn't come together until quite late in the painting. But I think it sort of shows a little bit more of my personality, a bit more about what makes me tick, what I tend to hold on to, what I'm scared of letting go of. And the last one in the series is entitled Run Screaming. This one is really quite interesting. I did attempt a very similar painting last quarter. It really wasn't successful for me, so I felt it very necessary to look at this painting and redo it. So you can see this self-portrait Alice in Wonderland figure. You have really sort of the element of threat, of danger around her, but in essence it's actually all imaginary. She's carrying with her a huge hairdryer, which sort of gives the impression that her moans and her expressions are full of hot air. I really sort of enjoyed many different sort of applications of paints. I used a lot of dry brushwork up here. I used sort of very, very detailed brushwork here. And I think I just really enjoyed having fun with the different sort of implied textures rather than actual texture. So that's it. Thank you.